Had a bit of a mishap today. Went out to the hut to get bivvy out to get it, because normally there's everything on top of my bivvy. Our last seems to like everything we don't need on top of stuff we need. So I went out to make sure it were easy accessible, and it's been leaking now for months. So went out, it was absolutely wet through, but in a way I'm glad I did, because it needed a dry out and it needed a wipe down. It was muddy from last time, and ground sheet, well, mucky, which I will more than likely not be having a ground sheet down anyway, to be perfectly honest with you. It's not very often I fish with one now. Used to fish one all the time, but I don't bother anymore. It's not needed. It just causes you. It helps with a little bit less condensation, but other than that, I've not found any advantages to it, to be honest with you. I mean, you still get flies and stuff and ants and that in your bivvy anyway, but what I found is by not having a ground sheet down, them ants just happily go along and go straight under your bivvy and in and out of it. Whereas if you've got a ground sheet down, they tend to hang about underneath the ground sheet where it's a bit damp. So I've definitely found advantages, definitely outweigh the disadvantages and not having a ground sheet down. But I will be taking it with me just because it's winter, and in winter damp, because the heat from inside a bivvy that comes off you, it causes moisture to rise. So it's with ground being damp, it causes moisture to rise, and you'll end up with a bad back if not. And then this is what the mainstay, what we're going to be my plan of attack is this magwahs. Ernie's taking out that bag. I want to suffocate them down, give them no air, and then they go into a dormant stage where they look like they're dead. In fact, I'll actually do that now while I'm chatting along to you. But it's something I've done for a long time. It's what I used to do when I used to do a lot of match fishing and all. I used to do a lot of match fishing years ago, believe it or not. And I really enjoyed it. I was fishing. I never ever really did very well, because I was always fishing with a match angler that were just pretty much top end match, and he still is to this very day. And that's Darren. He's deadly. He's a deadly match angler. So as you can see there now, I've took all the air out of him. It's something that he always taught me, and it's something I always do to this day. So you take all the air out of the bag, every single last bit of air out of that bag. Spin it round once you've done it, and then lock that bag off. You want no air in it whatsoever. And what it does is it puts them into a state. Now they go into a state, and it's got a name, but I forget the name of it. But as you can see, it's like they're air dried, shrink wrapped. And they go into a state now where they will pretty much look like they're dead when you open it, and they all along and they go a lot longer and stretchy. They look like they're dead. And then after about 15 minutes bag being opened, they'll slowly reduce in size back down to normal size, and they'll be as wriggly as ever. But to be honest with you, I wouldn't even be bothered if they were dead, because as far as I'm concerned, they're only in water for a few seconds before they die anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. I will be honest with you guys, and that is that a pint of maggots, £2.50. David's cost me £2.50. Now, I love getting maggots from this tackle shop. It's a lot of match mango there. So you can get them cheaper than this. It's just I'm very, very funny about maggots. Richard ordered a lot of them. I think he's going down with a lot. I'm not sure, but I think he said 8 pints or something like 5 to 8 pints of maggots, which I think he's going to do really well on maggots down there. I will be honest with you, this time of year he's going to do really well. As long as his rigs are right, which they normally are with Rich, I think he'll do well on them. I really do. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be fishing a normal hinge rig. Simple. It's simple as always with me. Simplicity. It's going to be a normal hinge rig with instead of having the normal bait screw on, it's going to be an O-ring. And on that O-ring, well, it's not going to be an O-ring actually, it ain't going to be an O-ring, it's going to be a micro swivel. And on that micro swivel, what I do is I pull a piece, I've got an old rig box and it's got some nice black foam in that's really nice. So what I do is take a little bit of that black foam off, and I drill an hole through it with my bait drill, and then I pull it over the swivel, the bottom end of my swivel, and I trim it round the swivel so the swivel still turns, but it's got a bit of foam on that middle section, so you're not touching the loop on either end of it, the O on either end of the swivel, it's just round the middle bit. And to look at it, you'd probably think, what's the point of that? It's not very much it's not worth doing that. Believe me, it is. It's giving the it's negating the weight of that swivel. It's taking it away. But what it gives you is it gives you that option then of what I do then is I put a normal KBS pop up, and I will put a normal needle that you stitch your clothes with. I will pull it through. I will do a video on this tomorrow, by the way. Pull a needle through the KBS pop-up with about 4 maggots on it to try it. Now, the quote does pop up, so I think they're going to take 4 maggots easily. They look absolutely mint, all of them do. The KBS ones I did yesterday, which I glued for Richard, they look absolutely quality. And both the 12s and 14mm, which it will be a 14mm with maggots, because obviously they're a little bit heavier. Nah, and it will be red maggots. I told her to get red maggots, but she's come back with mixed, but it's not a big problem. She didn't know. So it's I will be using red maggots for the simple reason of, in this, there's a lot of bloodworm. So this is their, if you ask me, this is essential in any winter fishing. This and that is pretty much, you go fishing anywhere with this KBS crumb and flake, and it's done different. It ain't the normal done in the normal way that if honestly it takes me time to do it, but it is done in a way that it's different to anyone else's. It's different to Nash's. It's different to everyone else's. I do it so it's in long. Sometimes you get a long strand in it, and when it laid on the bottom, it looks like a large food item. The minute any movement goes near it, it breaks down into a crumb. It's done on a cheese grater, and I do it in boilie blocks. So I'll do a kilo mix. I will boil the half a kilo blocks that I do it. I will boil them until they're done. Take them out, leave them for a while to air dry, and then once I feel not 100% air dried, I still want moisture in them. With crumb, I want the moisture in them. I don't want this crumb going out into the lake air dried. I want it to have a bit of moisture in. I don't want it sucking lake water into it. I want it so it's not sucking anything into it apart from what's in it already, and that is bloodworm. There's bloodworm and krill. There's a lot of krill in it as well. But we're also taking a glug down with us, which Richard will be using most of that glug. So it will consist of that. There is all baits in this, guys. I'll see if I can show you. There is all baits in there, but it's mainly crumb and flake, and I think there's roughly around about a quarter of a kilo of whole baits in there, which it's them all baits are there for one reason, and that is when that flake goes out there, it's all about that attraction of the flake being on the bottom of the lake, and it gets in the weed, it gets under the stones, it gets everywhere, it hangs up in the weed. So forming the Christmas tree effect that I've said before, it hangs in the weed, and it looks amazing. Honestly, if you put it in, if you get any of this and you put it in the edge and it lands in weed and that, you will know what I mean. It looks absolutely amazing. It goes a lighter colour after a while. So, and I'm telling you, an handful chucked in edge, it kind of, no matter how windy it is, the wind were lapping into the peg I was fishing last time, and I mean it was an heavy wind. It was 90 odd mile an hour winds. The blokes that I spoke to on the weather forecast, it said it was 90 odd mile an hour winds down here on that day we fished. And I chucked it in edge while Steve were with me, and I showed him what it did, and I'm not sure whether he understood what I were on about or what. I mean, but it hung in the water. 90 mile an hour winds, and it didn't drift off like most things will. It still hung in the water and slowly dropped through water columns. But as it got near the bottom, it come apart and it coated the bottom. The bottom looked as though it had been coated in breadcrumb. After a while, it looks like crumb. It goes like a whitey colour. But it's a deadly method, and most of my success this year has been down to this exact method. So I'm loving the fact now these bags are just great. They really are, honestly. I mean, to the point that it's you're not messing about. You can reseal it up and do whatever. It's a great, you know what I mean. Richard's gone mad at me for giving him a bag. He says the bait's cheap enough. Don't give me bags. Keep them off eBay and what have you. But that ain't happening. Anyone that buys bait off me will be getting it in a bag. The price has gone up. It's gone up by 50p. The price on it. It's still dead cheap. To the point that I think it's too cheap. I think some are keeping away from it because it's cheap or that. You know, that's what the vibes that I'm getting off some people, that it's a little bit cheap, and it's to the point that I do it myself. I'll stay away from something if it's cheap, clothing wise, because I think it'll be shite. Now, in bait, I'm the exact same. If it's cheap, then there's got to be something wrong with it. Guys, there's nothing wrong with it at all. It is the... Honest to God, I ain't joking when I say it. And you're all going to say, you're bound to say that. It's the best bait that I've ever used. This is without a doubt the best bait I've used. I'm telling you now, honestly. I've had more fish on this than I've had them. I used to be an avid fan of sticky bait since being an avid fan of mainline. And I've had more fish on since I've been fishing this. I ain't bought a bait now, don't forget, for near enough 12 years. 12, 13 years. So, I may have bought odd kilo, but not much at all. I mean, I bought 5 kilo of Nash not long back, and honest to God, I ain't joking to you, I ended up feeding ducks with it. It was fucking shite. It was rock solid. There was no smell to it, just no attraction whatsoever. It was shite, absolute shite. This, I would rather fish with a kilo of this than 5 kilo of that. In the height of summer, I would rather fish with a kilo of this. There's far more attraction to it. Far more smell, far more nutritional value. Yes, and that is me saying it, that it's far more nutritional value than Nash's bait. There is, 100%. It's shelf life as well. It's not going to go off. The reason I get it in this bag, if it doesn't use it all, it can quite easily reseal the bag and put it away. And the main reason I gave him the bag, even though he went mad with me, like I said, is because it stinks. It hums. So he's going to need something, if he's got any of it left, to seal it up and get it in. No doubt it'll be going in his boot, because everything goes in Richard's boot. But it's a deadly method, so I'm telling you honestly. But like I said, Richard's taking I'm sure he said 8 pints. A maggots and knife. He's taking 8 pints of maggots, and he's fishing there with crumb and maggot in a bait boat. He could kill it. So we'll get back to the rig thing. I'm going to tie it up while I'm down there. I'm going to do a lot of videoing while I'm down there. It's why I'm hoping Richard takes his charger with him. Because if not, we're going to be stuck, because I want to do a lot of videoing. But a lot of my videoing is going to be done on my camera, so you ain't going to see it while I get back. But I've got a funny feeling he's going to do really well. He's already come up with it. He's got a few additives that I've not mentioned it to him about what I've been using, but he's pretty much gone down the same route as me. I could tell you now, honestly. Apart from he's using something that's going to milk it up a bit, condensed milk. He's gone down condensed milk route, and I've gone down coconut milk. That's the only difference. I've gone down the coconut route way because I absolutely love that in that it's got coconut in the bait, and it's also got little strands of coconut in the milk that I get. So when it falls through water column, you're getting little strands of coconut, and it's a deadly method. But it's I'm gonna be having two of these reds, or 4. If it'll take 4, it will be 4. It's just sitting on top of the 14mm coke dust pop-ups. Now, I'm not sure where I'm going to do that yet, whether I'm going to do it with a needle and cotton, old school way of doing it, or whether I'm going to super glue them. I ain't sure yet. It may be well with super glue. I mean, it's Marie's super glue because she says it's cruel to super glue maggots. So I've got to find it or buy some more. But the thing is I normally super glue them. I normally just get it so it sits beautifully. So it's over buoyant to the point of that I'll put more putty on than I need, and I will do it so it kind of, when it comes down, it will just really slowly come down, and then as you add them maggots it will come down a bit faster, but it will sit perfectly. Just with them maggots on top moving. Don't forget they're only going to move for the first probably couple of minutes at most, probably 60 seconds they're going to move for, and then they will die. But the other thing is in fact I've just remembered Richard has got me some fake, I tell him to get me some fake buoyant ones from the tackle shop, so I'm going to do away with that idea. I probably will have a couple of live maggots on one, real maggots on one rod, because I love their I love attraction and maggots. They're a deadly bait, but let's not forget, guys, that there's pest species in there. Do you know what I mean? There's barbel, there's roach. Nah, any other time of the year, and I would have shied away from this. I'm an out and out boilie angler. It's what I do. I fish with boilies. It's what I do. I love fishing with corn. I love fishing with meat as well, but it's all a different method altogether. It's two different kinds of carp fishing, that for me. When I'm fishing with meat or pepperoni or something like that, luncheon meat or something like that, worms, then it's stoking and it's sunken float method. It's a way I've always fished in that manner. It's I love doing it. It's on centre pin, 2.5 pound test curve rod, camo gear, hat on, hidden away somewhere, watching that sunken float. As soon as it lifts up and drops, boom, you're in and you're off. Same as with floater fishing. I love floater fishing. I've not done much of it this year though, but next year I'm going to seriously hammer them on floaters, because I ain't done it in a while. And about 90% of my fish used to be caught off surface. About 90% of my fish used to be caught off surface. It's something I ain't done much of this year because of I just ain't seen the carp on top. Simple as. I've put mixers out on treating and they're just not interested. They just weren't interested in it at all. So it was a strange one. They weren't even interested in my cat chews I use. I use a cat chew they're really super buoyant as well. I've actually used them on a hinge rig and they've stayed buoyant for 48 hours. They're a great. It's something I pinch them out of our lasses cat treats. Felix, I think it's Felix or something like that. It's made by, and they're beautiful little. They're shaped a bit like dumbbells, but they're super buoyant. And I've actually used one on a hinge rig for 48 hours, and when I brought it in and tested it, it was still set up perfectly. So beautiful bait. But I do love using them on floaters. But like I said, now I'm starting to get a bit excited about this trip now. You know what I mean? I know what's on cards. This weather system's unusual. And it's looking prime. It's looking prime, guys, for a big one. So all we can do is we can hope that one of them big ones comes across. Now a couple of guys have asked me over bait, and I've said it before on internet, but I ain't doing bait. I'm only doing bait to friends. I'm only doing it to friends. I'm not doing it for any other. I'm not doing it all over the place. You know what I'm doing? I do odd person it who asks me, but it's to be perfectly honest with you, we're never set out that way. You know what I mean? It's I earn my money from photography. It's simple as that. You know what I mean? But like I said, we can hope that I've got big hopes on this. I think it's going to be absolutely deadly. I'm telling you now. So watch this space, guys. And the other thing as well is I'm going to do. I'll have a lot of video. Most of the videos I've done since I've started videoing, I've been actually on bait, and it's been while I've cooking it and how to store it and how to air dry and stuff like that. For the people that have asked me on YouTube, it ain't for all you that are I've been fishing a while, even though some of you may have picked odd tip up from it, or some of you will just be saying, we know all that, but believe me, it's stuff in there that everyone can learn a little bit from. We all learn off each other, as simple as, you know what I mean. But the fingers are I really do think something very special is going to happen on this trip. Yeah, got a very funny feeling about it. Got a very, very, very funny feeling. Now, like I said, Richard's fishing that boat, and I've got it in my head that if he fishes it, I used to fish it on Mozzie, then I think he'll do well. But the whole thing with that boat is he has got to make sure that he is fishing 100% over clear area, and it may take him an hour and a half to find a clear area. It's no good chucking a lead out there and letting it drop and bringing it back and it's got no weed on it and thinking, it's clear. Because I'm telling you now, guys, honest to God, the last time I was down there, I tested this, and it's onion weed. It's what I call onion weed. Now, it's when you cast into that onion, and it also, that will grow all the way through the year, 12 months of the year. The cold don't really affect it that much. It still stays rooted. It will die back a bit, but it still stays rooted. And it's always doing this in even if there's no tow, it does it. It's a really, really light weed, so it's why you're getting all the time down there. It was the weed, not the wind. The weed was doing it. But like I said, it's you chuck a lead out to it, and you will not feel a drop. Just don't even be thinking you will feel a drop on it, because you won't, because the water is 3 foot deep, but the silt's 6 foot. It's seriously, further out, it's just silty as hell. But in the margin, the silt is probably 3 foot deep, and then the water is probably 3 foot deep. It's not a deep place at all. It's very, very shallow. But majority of that is the build up over the years of silt, which are it's the reason I've gone down blood. And I'm telling you, honest to God, guys, I ain't joking. There ain't a bait out there that has got as much blood with him as that KBS. I don't care what you say.